Welcome to Coffee Time, the internet show where three lifelong friends talk about anything and everything, what the world says about it and what the word says about it. Let's get brewing. Welcome back, boys.
Let's go, baby.
Hello.
In my right corner, I have Andrew Jew. There we go. And in my left corner, I have Ianana. Thank you for standing. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
You guys would be, not going to lie, I would like to watch you guys fight. Like box.
That'd be fun.
Like your body weight is probably close.
I weigh like 4 pounds.
You're like 110 pounds.
And this going at 110.
Over in 5'5". Got Andrew.
Hey now.
That's crazy.
5'7.5".
5'7.5". Ian's only like a
clear.
little bit taller than you. He's only like 3 inches taller.
He's like,
Yeah.
yeah. He's got a little bit more range, but I've got,
I've got the girth. Andrew's got the speed.
That makes sense.
I mean, like, what
okay.
I'm saying is, like, I'm probably like 50 pounds heavier than Andrew.
There's no way.
no, I don't think so.
Okay, 30
Andrew,
pounds.
Do you weigh
20
like
pounds?
Andrew weighs 145 pounds.
That's the exact weight that I
Oh,
weigh.
I'm only like 10 pounds heavier
And-
than you.
Yeah. So you guys are like
Category, though.
basically in the same weight class. So
Yeah.
Anyways.
all right. Well,
Anyways,
so for this episode of Coffee Time, we are talking about where is home.
Boom.
Coming to theaters this summer.
this summer, that's what it sounded like. Really.
So anyways, back on track. My name is Evan. That's Andrew. That's Ian.
Hey.
Welcome to the discussion. We're going to
Yes.
move right into loose leaf update.
Let's go.
And I get to start. Ladies and gentlemen, what has been going on over the past 2.5 months?
Yeah.
2 months?
Yeah,
Two and 5 months? Well, a lot, I guess. But I'm only going to talk about 3 short, brief little moments. The first one is, what am I doing? My current goal. So, we haven't talked about New Year's resolutions or nothing. So, one that I started with Ian is a 20-20-20 challenge, but it goes up by 5 every 2 weeks. I think every 2 weeks.
I've been doing
So
it
20
every
push-ups.
week.
Every week. Well, we didn't start at every week.
No, I should probably go back to 2 weeks because I'm really increasing probably too quickly.
Yeah. So it's 20 push-ups, 20 squats, and a 20-second plank. And then you move up 5. And it was kind of like this idea, I haven't worked out in 8 months. And I'm like, I just want to get back into it, but I don't want to make it so impossible that I just give up. So I'm like, I'll make it really easy, but it's still working out, and I'm going to get better, and it's going to get harder, that kind of stuff. So current goal is to be at least 18% to 20% body fat by July.
Sheesh, let's go.
Ian, Andrew, do you have something in your mouth?
Does it look like I have something in my mouth? Does it look like I'm chewing? Does it look like
It looked like you were doing the laugh challenge where you're holding water in your mouth and try not to laugh.
Shoot, I'm sorry. I was just sitting there. I think I may have, I don't know.
Were you mewing a little bit?
I was maybe mewing a little bit on accident. I didn't mean
That's
to.
funny.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay. Project. Fun thing.
Something
Was it?
fun.
No,
yeah.
wait.
Yep, something
I don't
fun.
know which one was. I don't know what was what. Project is trying to find a car. I've been looking for a little while because I'm tired of putting $50 of worth of gas every week into the current vehicle I'm using. So looking for something that'll get better gas mileage. And then my life lesson, something that like has stuck out to me. It's actually a quote, and I don't know who it's by, but it's about this like impossible like running challenge. Is it Berkeley? Berkeley.
Like the
The
college.
Berkeley like marathon thing. I think so. I think it's something. It's not with the college, but it's called that. Anyways, there was this guy who was running it, and like it's basically an impossible challenge. And so his quote was like, "Winning is not giving up." So like, just not giving up is winning. So even if he doesn't win the race, he doesn't like give up. He just like goes back again and tries again. So I thought it was
I
cool.
like that. Yeah. That's a cool way to look at it.
Winning is not giving up. Yeah.
Let's
Anyways,
go. I like it.
that's my quick 3. Now it's Andrew Drew's turn.
Okay. When you said you were looking for a vehicle, I thought you like totaled your last one. I was like, no.
No,
But the
let's
gas
get that gas mileage.
Yeah. So a current goal or project thing that I've been working on is for the show actually, we're trying to wrap up all of the music aspect so that here in a few weeks when we finish the season, the soundtrack can come up as well. And yesterday, somehow, managed to get like 17 of the songs mastered for the version that will go on Spotify. I don't know why I hadn't been working on it this way before, but I forgot to export them to Audacity to do the final adjustments. But now that I did that, they're at the right levels, and I think that they will sound okay.
Awesome. That's so exciting. Let's go.
It's good, yeah. It's a lot of fun. A recent thing that's been going on is this week I got to have a bunch of friends from Cape and Ray up here. They're not all from here, but this is where we met. They all came over here. Right there. And we all hung out, and it was super spontaneous, but a ton of fun. We ended up in Denver all night Wednesday night at a Nuggets game, which was cool.
Whoa, that's
But
fun.
it's just cool. It's just cool that I got to know a bunch of people from all over, and then they'll just show up and be like, let's do something. And then we're like, okay. So that was really cool. And then life lesson that's been coming up a lot recently is it has to do with what your goals are. And so over and over and over, from different Bible studies that I've done with people or just studying on my own and conversations with other people, everything seems to be pointing to the same idea of being willing to give everything up to follow Christ. It's just been the same thing over and over and over and over and over, which is really cool. And if you know the Jim Elliot quote, which is part of a larger journal entry, Jim Elliot was a missionary, and in his journal he wrote, "He is no fool who gives up what he cannot keep to gain what he cannot lose." That's the best way to summarize it. I need catchphrases like that or quotes like that because otherwise I can't summarize things. But that summarizes everything that's been going on and learning. It's all kind of coming to a head at that idea, which is great. It's really cool. So there's my 3.
Nice.
Ian.
Okay. All right. Let's see. I think what was it? Project first.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Me and Andrew, since like the beginning of the month ish. I guess not really. We're on like day 7, and it's what? It's the 16th, 15th.
First week.
So
Second week. Since the start of the second week.
yeah, start of the second week. We've been doing tough images or hard images. Sounds crazy. It's just like unreasonably cool pictures. Like they shouldn't be cool, but they are. Maybe we'll throw a couple on screen of the ones we've done so far, but we've been doing that the past week, and it's just been
Watch us on YouTube.
It's been a ton of fun. It's been fun to get into some like photography stuff, photo editing, some like it's not Photoshop because I don't have Photoshop, but Photoshop-ish kind of stuff just through my phone. It's been a fun like creative exercise. It was project
Goal.
that's what it was. Trying to learn piano. We just got a piano that's super out of tune. We need to get it tuned, but we're trying to learn the piano. We are, as in me and my wife, trying to learn the piano. Just trying to become more musically inclined because I think it'd be fun. Fun skill to have, fun skill to teach our kids when that happens. So, and then life lesson, something happened the other week on my wife's side of the family. And it just kind of woke us up to some like health things. Like we just need to take a little better care of our bodies diet-wise, so that we don't end up in this situation that recently happened. Everything's okay. Everything went super smooth. We're all good, but it was just kind of eye-opening because like it was a pretty horrible process to get where we needed to get for this situation. We don't want to have anybody have to do that or go through that. So, yeah, that's my life lesson for the week. Yeah.
Love it. I like both of them. Very good. Ian, will
Yes.
you introduce to us our drink that I have nothing left again.
Yep, I actually have
I
a
got
little
1/3.
sip at the bottom.
I have like stuff in there. I just need more milk.
So this is brown sugar and vanilla sweetened milk in ice and coffee jelly. And the coffee jelly is made with gelatin and brewed coffee and sugar. And then we cut it up into squares, put it in this milk. We'll have the recipe video up on Instagram and YouTube, so be sure to check us out. CoffeeTime Official on Instagram and CoffeeTime Official on YouTube. And you'll see the full recipe and the full recipes in the description of that video as well on the release day of this episode. So be sure to go check it out. Probably one of my favorite drinks, to be honest. It's like
Yeah.
this. It's like really sweet, but like in a dessert kind of way. Like you could have this like after a meal almost. And like
Yeah, it's really nice.
and like I made it at Andrew's house while I was during that family thing. I got to see Andrew while I was down there. And we made it with instant coffee. I made this with brewed coffee. And the brewed coffee we used, for some reason when it's cold and in this gelatin form, it has like this chocolatey flavor. And it's super delicious. So one of my favorite drinks for sure. So go check that out. Andrew, you want to hit us with the Didar?
Sorry, I was enjoying that.
go ahead, yeah.
He was saying, hey, go ahead and enjoy. No,
Andrew
Ian-
made his now with a substitute of
Yes.
maple syrup.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
yeah. Brown sugar or maple, both work really well.
Very well.
Okay.
and now
Here's a
D-Y-D-R.
Here's that.
D-Y-D-R.
That's our jingle. Everybody, on three. 3.
D-Y-D-R.
D-Y-D-R.
So we don't have a jingle for that, but it's the Didar, and it's our Don't You Dare rules. And the reason we have these is because when we have a frame of reference for this now, we can misrepresent information or just say things that are wrong. That can happen. It has happened. If you watch
All
our
the time.
Christmas episode, we say so many things, and it's not that they're completely wrong. They're like a little wrong.
They're
So if you didn't know
almost
any
right.
better, you'd think we know a lot. But if you listen to our Didar rules, which are the qualification to watch the show, nobody's enforcing that. It's kind of an integrity thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, you would know that these rules are in place for a reason. And here they are. We got 3 of them. The first one, don't you dare trust us, because we're just other people. Also, you don't know us. You don't know how we live. So you don't know if we're a good example, a bad example. All you have is this presentation of us. So don't trust us. Second thing, rule number 2, don't you dare quote us because we can say stuff wrong sometimes. So it's just better not to do that. The third thing is don't you dare don't do your own research. Do your own research.
Yeah.
We can say a whole lot of stuff. We might point you in the right direction, but you also have to be responsible to fact check anything that we say to make sure that it's not way off track. And we are responsible to make sure that everything we say is not off track. But you play a role. You're listening. So be cautious. Not just with us, but with anything you listen to. It influences you. And that's our DIDAR.
Well done.
Thank you,
That's all there
Andrew.
is.
Thank you. I will say, we are, me especially, am right almost many times. I might over-exaggerate numbers very often. Yeah. You know, when you pasteurize stuff, it goes to like 15,000 degrees or something.
Yeah.
But it's like 150. It's
Yeah.
all right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You know, remember when they used to have, well, maybe not. I'm an old person. So on TV, they used to have this show called How It's Made.
Oh,
Fire episode.
Yeah.
Computer
Good
Guy to
show.
Ding Dong.
And so I think like that's where I learned that. And I was like 12. So surprised even any of that information stayed in my brain at all.
Even if it's partially true, I'm surprised it stuck somewhat.
Yeah.
yeah. We know just enough to be wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, let's get into this episode. I'm
Okay.
excited. So this episode today, again, is Where is Home? And we're going to talk about it in a few different, we're going to take a few different angles at this kind of topic here. So we're going to talk about the like common things said by like most of your parents, probably. Again, don't quote us. You've probably heard this. You may have heard this some way said like similar to this. Home is where the heart is. Maybe that was like a I'm not even gonna say it. Like a Hallmark thing.
I think probably.
You know, like an old commercial. Maybe it's like a coffee commercial. But home is where the heart is. We're gonna talk about heaven is our home. And we're going to talk about like each one of these together and separately. We're just going to let you guys talk. I'm not going to take up this whole episode, I promise. And then we're going to talk about my house in the middle of the street. Oh, wait, that's our house. But anyways, we're going to talk about, again, almost right.
Almost.
We're going to talk about like where you live now, essentially. Or what makes a home a home. So I am going to start us off. Ladies and gentlemen, with this thing that I found called the hierarchy of needs. Have any of you heard of this?
No.
It sounds familiar.
Yes. I think it's called Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Some smart person who came up with this. It's a psychological framework. And basically, this doesn't really have to do with like where my home is, but this has to do with how like a human being feels when he's like, when these needs are met, they feel like safe and like at home, you could say. So it starts at the bottom of the pyramid. So this is like a pyramid and it goes up. Everything is built off of each other. So it starts with, it's psychological. It says, at the very least, we don't want to be hungry, thirsty, exhausted, cold, hot, sick, or in pain. Can you guys agree with that?
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
you don't want to necessarily feel those things.
Discomfort.
Right. Right, exactly. And so on top of that, you have safety. So if we feel okay in that exact moment, we then also want to feel safe, confident that we can avoid pain, hunger, and dangers from immediate or for the immediate future. So we're like, there's walls that protect us and an HVAC system to keep us warm and cold whenever we need it.
Okay.
On top of safety, we have social. So if we feel safe, then our social needs for love and belonging come into play. So we feel secure when we're a part of a tribe that we can trust and are unworried about rejection and alienation. On top of social, we have self-esteem. So once we're secure in our social needs, our primary desires are for status and self-esteem. We want to feel not only a part of the group, but admired and respected. And then at the very top, we have self-actualization. Finally, when our core needs are met, we're ready to pursue our deepest desire for self-actualization or whatever. So as to become the most complete and authentic versions of ourselves. With those fundamentals taken care of, we're free to act as we choose, aligned with our values and higher purposes. What do you guys think of that? Hierarchy of needs.
It's interesting. I don't know if I agree with all of the needs, but I would agree with
Yeah, I
most
agree.
of
I
them.
think that one that people add often to this list is like the need for like spiritual stuff, for like a sense of spiritual belonging,
Right.
like to a church, to something bigger than themselves. And so that one thing that I had noticed when I was doing the research, this list, they almost always added a spiritual aspect to it.
Interesting.
Yeah. Which I don't know anything about this guy. His name's Abraham Maslow. And I probably should have done a little research on him. But most people use this system, this pyramid, for like for people like a hierarchy of needs for human life or whatever. But I noticed that most of them added a spiritual element to
Right.
it. So,
Yeah.
so what do you think? I mean, when it comes to like being at home, I think that one of the things that make you feel like after you've moved somewhere new, one of the things that you want to do is get a job and a house to live in.
Right.
Like usually you have those things secured before you move somewhere. So those are like automatic. You want a place to belong. I know for us, we would probably seek out a church, somewhere to go to hear the word of God and to have community. Self-esteem, so like status. I mean, you want to feel like you're contributing to whatever you're doing. Like you're not just there and like being loved. Like you want to feel like I'm contributing and doing something for the good. So joining a serving team or something at church like that.
Yeah.
And then finding like your deepest like version like of ourselves, like the most authentic.
The real
I know in the
person.
past Ian said that he wants like one of the things him and Katea have been like saying over and over again is we just want to be real, like always ourselves, our authentic selves. So I see it in there for sure. And I know that for like feeling at home, I feel like those things are necessary. I know that like when I moved to North Carolina, it's like you feel kind of lost at first,
Yeah.
but it's like, okay, I have a place to stay. Now I have a job. Okay, now I'm going to church. Okay, now I'm meeting some people, so I have that social thing. Oh, I'm at a serving team, and I'm doing really well at work. Okay, and then it's like, all right, now I just want to be like the most authentic version of myself. I want to be, and I do feel like that contributes to the feeling of being home.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, everything I had is now where I am now. Like I am at home. Like these are my people. This is my church. This is my city. This is like my like. You're giving it like some identity, like it's yours. It's not
Right.
like I'm going to the church or my parents' church. I'm going to my church. Like I'm going to go see my friends. I'm not going to go hang out with my mom's group or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you're putting some like personalized things to it, and it feels more like home at that point. What do you guys think? Any thoughts on that?
I think the personalization doesn't necessarily come from it doesn't come from ownership, but from belonging to. It's like
Right.
I belong to this group of friends, not this is not I don't own them, which is kind of
Well,
a given.
Yeah.
But same thing with the city or a place that you're from. You know, I don't have ownership of it, but I belong to this area. In a sense. In terms of the hierarchy, I won't pick it apart too much. I agree with Ian that there are some things I agree with, some things I would not agree with / need to ask more questions about to understand. From a purely humanistic, biological, psychological perspective, I agree with the first 4 about to feel like you're at home. If we weren't to consider anything spiritual, then yeah, humans are just a biological tribal species aimed at survival and improvement. Then I think this list suits you very well. I think the one thing I would say is that self-actualization at the top, in order to feel at home, I'm struggling trying to make those coalesce. So you're saying...
Again, I was just reading the list, and that was the top.
Yeah.
So I was probably more focusing on the first 3 even.
Yeah.
Just like I have needs. When those needs are met, I feel like more at home, especially at that like love and like the needs for love and belonging.
Yeah.
Self-esteem.
Yeah.
I just wanted to finish the list because it had a whole pyramid. But I think being authentic is also, and that might even come before social. Like if I were to like redo it,
Yeah.
like becoming like, okay, I'm safe, and I got here because I was fully myself. Like obviously our identity is in Christ, so like, but using even that, like, I'm always 100% like Christian, 100% love Christ in everything I do, and like, of course, my safety comes from the Lord, and all that stuff. But it's like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean. You know what I'm getting at, anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. So the fundamentals, the first steps of those pyramids, I would agree with. But I do think it is possible to be the right version of yourself without any of those things. And I don't mean right as in right by your own perspective or by other people's perspective, but I mean right as in right or wrong, good and bad. There's the potential you can be the right kind of person and the right version of yourself without any sense of home. But that requires faith. It requires Christ in you.
Yep. You have a
Because then you
story.
endure all kinds of hardships and
Right, exactly. Now, there was some friends that I had when I lived in Wyoming, and they were from a different state. And they just never felt like Wyoming was home. Like, they never felt like this is where we needed to be. Like, they had good work, owned a house, had awesome kids, had, like, a pretty good church, friends, and just like, man, I just don't feel like this is home. So I see what you're saying. Like, the right stuff was there, but like the sense of home wasn't there. And so then they moved back to their other place, and things are actually harder, but they have that feeling of like, this is home. Like, I would never leave here again. And so it's like weird how like you can feel a certain way and everything's right, but it doesn't feel like home. But then you go somewhere that feels like home, but it doesn't feel right. Like, not everything feels like, oh, I have a bunch of friends and I have all these connections and I'm safe and work isn't hard and like stuff like that.
Yeah. Being where you're meant to be does not guarantee any sort of comfort.
Yeah.
A lot of the times it can guarantee discomfort. But if I were to define home, it would be... Wow. Actually, I'm not even sure. Because home, to me, has 2 definitions in my head that I can't... One of them is a final destination which you arrive at, which you are headed to all along. So since your final belonging. and then current for the duration up until that final belonging. The other definition of home is where you are supposed to be. You know, where you're supposed
I
to
like
be
that.
and then where you're supposed to go. I don't know.
Yeah, and I think that's different for everybody because we're like uniquely us
Yeah. Yeah.
and called to different things
Mm-hmm.
and at different times. Ian, what do you think? Like, what's your definition of home?
My definition of home. I think I would
Like, if
agree
you're yeah,
that
go
it's
ahead.
like our final destination in heaven
Okay.
with Christ. That's our home. And in my like current living state, my home is with my wife. So Katea's been gone for she's gonna be gone for a whole nother week now. She's been gone for a little over a week now. And like it just doesn't feel the same, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's like
Yeah.
a certain amount of love and even like spiritual like accountability and like she's so strong in her faith. Like I feel like that extra part of me is kind of like missing, you know?
Mhm.
Like I'm still in my own time. I'm still in my own time in the word and in prayer, but like there's something that's just missing and like that feels like my home, you know?
Mm.
Like currently in my life. But my
Mm-hmm.
true home is in heaven with Christ. Like that trumps everything else. Like that is my home.
Yeah.
Like I can call that my home. Like this is not my home right now.
Yeah. Anywhere that you go, any sense of comfort that you feel or discomfort, you have peace because you know where home is.
Yeah. And like
that anywhere that you do go here is not.
right. And that's such a huge comfort cuz like and that's been something I've been reminding myself a lot lately is like why am I so upset over this little thing when it doesn't really matter? Like this is all temporary. Like I'm going to get to a much better place than this. I just have to make it through this. And to make it through this, I need to pour even more into my faith.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's definitely been something that has been like
Good.
on repeat in my mind is like, there's better, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I give like a final thought on this, on the pyramid on everything?
You go for it.
I would say a chapter to reference for anybody who wants to do some extra research is in the Bible. It's in the book called Hebrews, and it's in the section chapter 11. And it talks about a bunch of different examples of people that were kind of rejects on the earth and didn't have a place to fit in. And it says it's because they were looking forward to the heavenly home, which is with God, with Christ, through faith. And so, even though they were kind of just restless wanderers on the earth, destitute, mistreated, kind of being all over the place, they are commended for their faith, even though they never did get that sense of home. You know, they didn't receive what was promised while they were here on earth, because there was something better in store, and that's the heavenly home. So ultimately, exactly what Ian was saying, for the person who is in Christ and Christ is living in them, your home is Christ.
Mm.
You know, it's being in that perfect presence and companionship in heaven with him. Whether that be when he returns and makes all things new, or when we leave this earth to go and be with him. That's kind of the ultimate goal. And like I said in my loose leaf update, that's kind of what everything's been pointing to. If only for this life we have hope, we're of all men most to be pitied. That's from 1 Corinthians 15. That's talking about the resurrection. So we have a hope that kind of it absolutely surpasses any other option.
Yeah.
Definitely wasn't planning on going that deep that fast. Let's see. All right, this is just like a fun little Not really a game, but just like a fun little get to know us kind of thing. And then we can move into maybe something that Ian was going to bring up here.
Okay.
So, growing up, you got to think back. So, like, think of the first place you lived.
Okay.
So, you're in your first house that you ever remembered.
Okay.
What was your favorite restaurant?
Oh, dang, that's tough. McDonald's.
Mine was like, really?
McDonald's or Olive Garden, because Olive Garden had those sick little cups with all the little vegetable people on them.
Oh, yeah.
But McDonald's
Yeah.
had toys, so like, it's a tough one to beat.
Yeah.
Mine was like like a pizza place. So I grew up in Dickinson, North Dakota. There was like this pizza place that had like a little arcade in it, and they had this window that you could look in and watch them like make the pizzas. And I have no clue what it was called. I want to say it was Pizza Hut. Like, but like their old logo and everything. So like, I'm a '90s baby, so I'm trying to think of like, and I was in North Dakota from like 0 to 9 years old. So I think I would remember like an old logo from the '90s Pizza Hut.
Mm-hmm.
But, anyways, I think that was like my favorite place to go. And I still love pizza today, believe it or not.
Now, there is this place, I don't know if you remember this place, Evan, in Miles City. It had like the fried cauliflower. Do you remember this place? We'd always go there the day before we would leave after we saw all of our cousins.
Was it a pizza place?
Yeah, it was like a pizza place. It had the airplanes hanging on the
And it's like-
ceiling.
Yeah, like in the basement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we didn't ever live there, but we visited Miles City quite often. And I remember that place was always like bittersweet because that was a place we always went before we left. So it was always a blast because we got to have pizza, fried cauliflower, and there was like this arcade in there as well. But then like it was fun to go there, but it was also sad because that means we had to leave all of our cousins. But yeah, it's another good place.
Yeah. I would say there's this place towards Denver. It's called Cinzetti's.
Oh,
It's an all-you-can-eat Italian buffet, and it's set up to be like you're in like a tiny little Italy. When you go inside, it's got all sorts of different sections. One for pasta, one for pizza, one for desserts, one for seafood, one for salads, one for soups, one for crepes.
yeah.
They have all kinds of stuff, like a protein section, and there's a ton of foliage on the inside, dim lighting, and so I can remember going there as a kid, and being when you're younger, it's not just your physical size, but also your perception of things. It makes it seem so much bigger than it actually is.
Yeah, I totally.
So I'm sure
agree.
many people have experienced
Oh,
growing up, and then you go to the same place that you used to when you were a kid, and you're like, this place is not as big as it used to be.
Yeah.
It's the same, but your perspective has changed, your perception. It was the same with Cinzetti's. I used to feel like we were in Italy, and it was this massive place, and like I could go explore, and it would just have like an unending option of food. Yet I would always like only get like pizza and then some cannolis, which for a kid is a pretty sick dinner.
Dude,
I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
but yeah, really cool place, and it was always for some sort of special occasion, and it was always with our whole family, and so it was super cool to experience this incredible place, it feeling so big, and then being there with all of my family. So that's probably my top.
Okay. So I don't think, I don't know if we should do that one. Let's go like the church you grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was like a First Assembly of God in Dickinson, North Dakota. Yeah. I remember that was like where all my best friends were. I think I only had like really like one best friend growing up, but it was like where I remember that place, and our kids' church was like across the parking lot into a different building. And it's just like a big open chapel. It was super fun. Doing like worship and all that stuff there. For some reason, I always think of that we went to like a night service because I feel like it was always dark when we went to church. But that could be just my memory.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't think, Ian, you were born in Colorado, so
Yes.
you weren't even.
Me and him have the
You were-
same first church, if
Yeah.
I'm not mistaken.
Yep. To be honest, I can't
It
remember.
was also,
Oh, what?
it was First Assembly.
Yeah. I cannot
That's where
remember
we
at all.
met your family.
Yeah, Shiloh.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shiloh. But you went to First Assembly first. Well, at least,
Parent. My mom did.
yeah, and Lauren and Kaylin.
Yes, and then we
'Cause
all
I remember
came to
all of
Shiloh.
Okay.
Because I can't remember who it was. I don't know if it was the Shoemakers who told us to go to Shiloh, or if it was the Haskells.
I think
If
it was
your
the
mom,
Haskells.
maybe. Probably the Haskells.
I don't remember who invited us there, but that would be
We
our
met-
second church in Colorado.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we met the Haskells because they were babysitting my older sisters. And then that's how my mom met Amy. And then she's like, hey, you should come to church with us. And then that's how I think that's where that started.
Okay.
And I don't remember too
House
much from
church.
Shiloh. Yeah, house church. I remember that we rented out a space in a middle school.
Yes,
Really.
the lockers. I remember all the lockers down the hall.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Yep. I remember that there was a little kids classroom that we would go into. The lighting always felt like a hospital, and I think that's because the hospital was just around that area. But the kids' room, I remember we would go in there. This really friendly old lady. She'd teach us stuff. We'd play with things or draw, and she would give us those wafer cookies.
Oh my
And-
gosh, the like pink ones.
Yeah, the little pink wafer cookies, and I remember that. I remember that very well.
Unlocked a bunch of memories for me because
Okay.
I completely forgot.
Good.
Like the only thing I can remember from that place was the lockers. I'm pretty sure they were like yellow.
Yep.
But I couldn't remember anything else. So you just opened up some
Unlocked.
old memories. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
So the reason why I'm doing this, and there's a couple more, but it's like a lot of people think of home based on their memories and kind of get stuck on them, I guess you could say, like reminiscent of the good times, quote unquote, and how like hometown memories, like when you tell someone like, hey, my name's Evan, like, hey, like, where did you grow up? Or like, what's your hometown? Usually people like bring up a memory, like one of these. And that's why that's their hometown. First friends. Do you guys remember like
Yes,
your
sir.
very first friends?
Ian.
Mine
I don't
was like
remember
this.
hanging out with anybody at the church.
I literally had no friends growing up until I moved to Sheridan. And even past that, it's just been Andrew since the beginning and Andrew until now. So killer.
And his family. But
Yeah.
his family doesn't count as friends.
No, Andrew's my best friend.
Yeah. So I remember my very first friend was a girl named Brandy. Now I
Whoa.
don't think I'd be any older than like 4 years old. And when we lived in Belfield, North Dakota, and my mom would always go get a perm at this salon downtown, and this is like a really small town, so it was like probably less than 300 people or something. And so she would get her hair done, and I would just walk up the street to this girl's house and just like hang out. And it was funny because we'd always play with like fake weapons and stuff, and she'd always hold it upside down and like try to shoot it at me with like it upside down, and I just always made fun of her and I thought it was funny. But
Your pinky on the trigger.
yeah, because I was always like, "You're holding it the wrong way." She's like, "No, I'm not. This is fine. Like whatever."
Showed you.
Of course, lots of different friends. I'm not friends with that person anymore because we moved. But
Yeah.
one more is like hometown memories of like your family. So I know that like Andrew, you're with your parents. Me and Ian are in the same town as our parents, but it's not our hometown. Like
Right.
I was born in a totally different place than I am right now.
Right.
But for a lot of people, home is like where your parents still are. Like especially like people my age, their parents are still where like they were born.
Yeah.
Like they just always stay there, never move. So we have unique situations where we've kind of left our quote unquote hometown. But what do you guys think of that? Like people who live their whole life in the same town, like one town, one state, city, or whatever.
Would I consider? Wait, what are you asking?
So, what do you think of it? Like, do you think it's a good thing, a bad thing? Like, do you like not living where you were born?
Oh, I don't know. I
Do
don't
you
know.
miss where you were born?
I wasn't in Colorado for very long after I was born. We moved to.
I mean, how old were you?
I have no idea. Like
Maybe
four. Yeah.
I think it was you guys are like 4 and you were up in
Yeah.
Cheyenne. No,
We-
you guys were all the way up.
We
You were way
moved.
up
We moved
Buffalo.
up to Buffalo, Wyoming.
Buffalo. Yes, and I remember distinctly that was when I was pretty young because I was still too young to go and spend a night or 2 nights up with you guys, and I would always be so frustrated because you guys would come down occasionally. I'd be so happy. I wouldn't be able to go up with you, but my older brother Sam could because he was a little bit older.
Right.
So I was just like waiting for the day when I could, and I actually never visited you guys when you were in Buffalo.
No.
I didn't see you again until you came down further.
Yep. When we would see Andrew, it was usually when we would come and visit because we had family in Colorado. It was my older sister lived in
Yeah.
Colorado, so anytime we'd come and visit
And
family.
brother.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So whenever we'd visit down there, it would always be like, as we're making the plan to go to Colorado, we'd be making a plan to see Andrew's family. But yeah, I don't remember a whole lot from Colorado. I mean, I was 4 years old, so I just don't remember a whole lot. There's like pictures that unlock specific memories,
Yeah.
like Andrew hanging out of a Spider-Man tent while he's sleeping. His like arm and head is just hanging out the corner of the tent.
Yo.
I've seen a few pictures of Christmases there where I just vaguely remember just like little things, but I remember this one hailstorm in Colorado that really scared me to
Okay.
death.
Yeah,
But-
that was an Eaton. Colorado.
Yep, the house behind the hospital. Yep.
School. That was by a school.
Oh, it was. Yeah. We had the basement. The like wood panel basement.
Yep.
But yeah, I don't remember a whole lot. But I remember a lot from the house in Buffalo, Wyoming, and that's my favorite place I've ever lived. That place was awesome.
Which one? Because you lived in 2 different houses in Buffalo.
Not the giant one with the pond. It was the little one in town.
Okay.
It was just it was like always felt super. It checks off actually a lot of items from that list. So it felt very safe and quiet and like homey and comfortable. I don't know. I just had a lot of good memories. Like I'd say that area holds my most childhood memories. So
Okay.
yeah.
That's cool. You guys have both. I'll mention this because I'm intrigued. You guys have both moved around more than I have and longer distances. I have moved quite a number of times, but it's been all within 20 miles of each other. And I've never lived outside of Colorado, aside for school.
Right.
But even that I knew was temporary. It's different when you mentally don't have an end date for living somewhere else. Would you say, from your experience, you guys would wish to have stayed in one place longer, or are you glad that you have moved as much as you had? Or what's the what would be a good amount of moves?
I think I'll start.
Okay.
Because I've been thinking about this lately. Because I would say probably if you would have asked me this question 5 years ago, I think I would have told you that we moved too much and like didn't stay in one spot long enough to really accomplish anything. But now I think it's just like looking back, I'm like, I never like regretted any of those moves. And I think I like kind of enjoy traveling because of it a little bit more. Because I've been to like over 40 states, like easy over 40 states. I might even be close to like the end If I just drove north right now, I would knock off like another 6 states that I haven't been to. So I've been like everywhere in America and Canada, and I think I just really like it. And I think that the right amount of moves for the average person is from their parents' house into like an apartment or a dorm,
Mm-hmm.
and then into a house with their spouse. I think that's like the perfect amount for most people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like 3 times, 3 or 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. I don't remember a whole lot of our moves. I remember arriving to the houses, but I don't remember the process. But I don't know. I never really cared. Like, again, didn't have a whole lot of friends other than Andrew, which was always disappointing because it seemed like every move was farther from Andrew. So, like, the frequency of being able to see Andrew was, like, less and less. But thankfully, it's probably not the greatest idea, but my parents let me have a phone, and I had a gaming console, and like Andrew had the same, so we were able to keep in touch pretty often, even though it was probably very annoying. Anytime I would see that little notification that Andrew was online, I would spam him with so many messages. I'm sure Andrew remembers. I was horrible as a kid. I don't know what's wrong.
I
don't know
don't
what was
remember
wrong
that.
with me, but
I don't remember that at all. I only ever remember, like, it just always being a blast when you would come down, or always being a blast whenever we would do something online.
yeah, we did play pretty often. But yeah, I don't really care. I don't really mind moving. I didn't mind this most recent move, which we moved out here, what, 6, 7, almost 7 months now. That's been a really great move. I know it's been a little harder for Katia because she's actually never moved other than from California to Wyoming, but that was when she was fairly young. So other than moving to Wyoming, she hasn't moved anywhere. So like it was a little more difficult for her, but I don't know if I have a specific number that's like, this is how much you should move because I enjoy moving. It's a fun experience. The hardest thing about this is that we built a little more of a community in Cheyenne before leaving. But what's really interesting is it's been pretty difficult to get connected here into a community. But what's weird is like the disconnect from finding new people has strengthened my connection with people I already know. I was talking to Evan about this morning. So like what like lacks in like new relationships, it's like strengthening all the relationships I already have. So it's pretty cool. It's been a really cool experience.
That's cool.
So yeah.
I would agree with you on that too. Not that I don't know why I don't have trouble getting to know people. They seem to find me. I don't know what it's about. But it's weird because like the people that I left, I've been like closer with, which is interesting. So
Yeah.
I guess that just means they're like real friends. Like
Yeah.
true friends.
Because I definitely have some people who I was friends with, moved away, and just never talked to again. But there's just some people that just like click and lock in, dude. Like they're like by your side through everything.
Through thick and thin.
They're thick and thin. But yeah.
And I feel like that is a great segue, Ian, into home is where the heart is. Kind of that like idea of something that you've been thinking on a little bit. And it just feels like that's when people say that, they mean like where their family is or where like their spouse is or where their kids are. Like that's their home.
Right.
So you want to guide us in a little conversation?
Yeah.
Or, go ahead.
Little man in the back.
Thank you. I propose a new definition for home. I would say the feeling of home, it's when you don't feel lonely.
Okay. I like that.
Because usually when people associate being at home, it's because of a particular feeling.
Right.
For my older siblings, 2 of my older siblings live out of state. Their home, where they live out of, is where they are right now in their respective states. But they only really feel home from when I have talked to them when they are back here. And I don't know if there's an associated feeling of loneliness that goes along with that. But a lot of people don't feel at home and they have everything on the list and they have their families and they have all these things, there's a lot of people who still feel lonely.
Yeah.
And I think it doesn't. There are times when you don't feel lonely. And so home, that feeling of home, happens when you don't feel lonely. When you're surrounded in the right way with safety, with physical needs, and with your social needs.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. It's an interesting correlation because when you look at the worldly definition of home, when you just look at like the definition of what is home, it's a physical place. It's like your house where you reside in, mostly permanently, is what the definition is. It's a permanent place that you will stay at. But it's like such an opposite place, like because even if like you're really connected with a group, if that group moves, you're gonna feel most comfortable and most quote at home when you're with that group, no matter where they're at. So yeah, I totally agree. Which is a segue into this section. I'll try and keep it a little quicker since we are running on time here a little bit. So I was looking into where the original saying of home is where the heart is, which I guess we can change according to Andrew. Home is where the loneliness is not. Officially, it's officially changed. I already changed it on Wiki, so.
I like it.
Wiki's been changed. Updated.
Yep, already, guys. I know people on the inside, so. So this is all cited from bookbrowse.com. I don't know anything about this website. I don't know how reliable it is, but according to some other sites, it seems to be fairly on track. This is just where I kind of quoted some things. The sentiment of home is where the heart is an expression generally attributed to the Roman naval commander Gaius Plinius.
You got me.
Known to historians as Pliny the Elder, AD 23 to 79, so really super
Whoa.
early. Although, however, we have no verification of this.
Oh.
Okay.
I don't know. That's just like, no matter where you go, that's what it says. It's like, this guy probably wrote it, but we have no way to prove it.
Interesting.
And there's actually a bunch of other writers who wrote similar things much later. Like, I'm talking like 1800s, 1857, 1819, different poems. This one's by Lord Byron. He enters in the house, his home no more, for without hearts there is no home, and felt the solitude of passing his own door without a welcome. There he long had dwelt. There is few peaceful days time had swept, or there is worn and keen eye would melt over the innocence of that sweet child, his only shrine of feelings undefiled. So, like, walking into his home, like, defining this, yeah, exactly, like, he's walking into this home, like this physical place, but it doesn't feel like home because who was there that made it feel like home is no longer there. Another one by the Fayetteville Weekly Observer published a poem, which sounds like some sort of newspaper.
Sure.
'Tis home where'er the heart is, where'er its loved ones dwell, in cities or in cottages, thronged haunts or mossy dell, the heart's a rover ever, and thus on wave and wild, the maiden with her lover walks, the mother with her child. So again, referring to people. Again, there's another reference to a similar feeling. This is appearing in a novel, the American novel Scandal by J.T. Bickford. Describe me a home, Willie. Well, I should say a woman of Kate Bentley's appearance. Nay, I said not a wife, but a home. Home is where the heart is, Katie. So
Hmm.
it seems that me and Evan were actually just talking about how we want to read Odyssey and what's the other one, Evan?
Iliad?
Yep, Iliad.
Iliad. That's it.
Because
Just poetry.
we've just been interested in poetry and like kind of more philosophical thinking. We figured it might help in actually the show, just learning to kind of dig deeper into thought. But in these poems and a little more thought-provoking poems, everyone seems to have the same idea of home is not a physical place. Like, even though it could be a place that you've grown up in, whether that's a home or a town, if all the people that made it a home and all the people that gave you what you needed and all the love that you needed to truly grow, if you remove those people, the place that you called home doesn't feel like home anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Basically what I'm saying is the saying, home is where the heart is, home is where the most love comes from, home is where the loneliness is not. Like the
Beautiful.
people make a home, which is what I was referring to earlier at the very beginning of the episode. Katea
Yeah.
being gone, like this place
You should
that.
write a poem Ian,
Wow, thank you, Evan. I really appreciate
Yeah.
that.
called "Loneliness" or "Home is where the loneliness is not."
Okay,
Yeah.
challenge
I feel like you could do
accepted.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
continue your thought. I apologize.
Yeah, like Katea being gone, like this place we came to that is so foreign. Like literally everything, environment, people, topography, the town, the stores, the way even people drive, the weather, everything's so different. But like we were together, so like even though all these things were so alien, we knew that there was a sense of home because we were here. And now that she's like out of town, that feeling is left. So I think that this saying of home is where the heart is very on point.
Yeah.
At least from a physical, like the human condition perspective, like people and like love that those people are willing to give you is what really makes a home. Even though this isn't our final destination, this isn't our final home, here in this time, in this space, in this stream, this branch, this root of time, this is like where we really feel like these people are what make that feel like home.
Yeah. You know what's interesting about something that I love everything that you just described. And the way that you worded it, home is where the loneliness is not. I have found that there will be times where I still feel lonely, but then I have Christ with me all the time.
Yeah.
I can't get away from his presence, even though sometimes I try to or want to.
Yeah.
But it's the best thing. I'll tell you something interesting is the more that I have grown in my relationship with him, the less I have felt at home anywhere on earth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Unless it's with other people that have relationship with
Right.
him.
Who are like-minded in that like spiritual, like we know that there's something better. We can share this time now together, knowing that there is something better.
And it's because home is where the heart is, because our hearts belong to him
Right.
fully.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, super great. So, yeah, that was great. Yeah, I don't have anything else to say. So if you guys don't have anything else to say, I think we can probably exit this conversation today.
All right.
So this episode is officially over. No.
Hey guys, thanks for watching today's episode. We hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to check us out on Instagram at CoffeeTime_official. We have some bloopers, deep talk, funny clips, recipe videos on there. And be sure to check us out on our other social platforms, YouTube, CoffeeTime Official, and our podcast platforms, CoffeeTime Official. We appreciate you guys stopping by. We hope to see you in the next one.